President and the members are Meredith, Art, and Joe Lyons, amongst many others in the crowd. Today, we're going to look at the bidding process for the wastewater project, discussion and review of the following contracts: Amendment 1 to GHD, Environmental Partners, sorry. Amendment 1 to Contracts 2 and 3, Environmental Partners, and Amendment 5 to GHD, plus we'll add the Weston Simmons contract. And then we'll get rid of my phone. So, in order to start this, I'm going to ask Rodney to give us the overview.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to say to the Sewer Commission this afternoon, first and foremost, thank you for meeting. Appreciate your volunteerism and your time. And this has been a long process as far as making sure that the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, and making sure that there is a functional flow, pardon the pun, for the purposes of bringing the clean water plan together in a cohesive way. We've had discussions at length with GHD, EP, and most recently with Weston and Sampson for the purposes of coming forward to you with a plan that fits all of the needs. And the short version is GHD would be responsible for the engineering and the construction of the facility plant, and EP would be responsible for the collection system itself. And as a result of that, Weston and Sampson would be the OPM for the facility. We've gone over at length the terms and conditions, and we have discussed at the staff level and also with legal and with all of the respective parties, so that everybody understands their roles and their responsibilities. And I am pleased to report today that I think everybody has a firm understanding of what each other's roles are. And it is in that spirit that I would seek you to approve, first and foremost, the termination, or I should say endorse the termination of Contract 1, and then also move forward with Amendment 1 to Contracts 2 and 3 with Environmental Partners, and then Amendment 5 with GHD. You should have had all of those in advance electronically. I can't say that I blame you if you didn't print them out, given the number of pages. If you do have any specific questions, we're going to try to answer them, but please don't ask me to recite every single word in every single one of these contracts, because I can't do it. What I can tell you is all of the respective parties have reviewed them. They're satisfied to date, and legal is satisfied as well, and he drafted them. When I say legal, legal for the town. So I'm confident that the town's interests are protected, and the only thing that I would ask for you to add is the printout that you should have received from Weston and Sampson. It was actually dated today relative to the OPM services.
All right, I guess keeping it as simple as we can, it's not up to us to go line by line on this. We should think about the general questions that the overall planning required to get to this point, to make sure any of those points that may still be open can be covered. Al, have you got any,
Yeah, I just want to make sure that I
Questions?
understand. Environmental Partners is going to do the second and third part of the contract. The third part of the contract includes the piping as well as the lift stations. They will now be doing the lift stations?
They'll be doing some coordination with GHD, but you are correct. But in terms of making the components work to the plant itself, they're going to have to coordinate some with GHD.
Primarily the.
And Mark, you want to?
So the way I would describe it is that environmental partners would be responsible for the mechanical components of the pumping stations, and that we would be responsible for the controls and aspects of the pumping stations and making sure that they are conveying data to the facility for collection there.
You would be, checking all the documentation, the warranties, the training for people to use said station?
I didn't hear the very beginning. Who you're wondering who would?
Yes.
I would say that that's primarily environmental partners would be responsible for that.
Put together the package, okay.
Yeah.
can we shorten the form and say they will build and install all the pumping stations outside of the main facility?
I'm not sure what you're correcting on here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm trying to simplify it. You can get into the details, but the reality is they're responsible for the pumping stations, period.
Yes, correct. That's
Okay?
correct.
They have to work with you on that.
That's correct.
And they will work with the engineer that the
Right.
town is assigning, but they're responsible for that.
Correct.
That's the only question that I had, reference that.
And the only question I have is, so, Weston and Sampson has an OPM responsibility for contract 1. Is there anyone who has responsibility for contracts 2 and 3?
It's not required, but that doesn't mean that we will not be utilizing Weston and Sampson in a oversight role.
Any other
Particularly-
questions here?
Particularly while we have a vacancy.
I don't see any purpose to going through it line by line, seeing that legal's done it. And a
Legal
host-
wrote it.
And a host of engineers, plus an engineer who's now in our employment, who is going over it as we speak, probably. So I'd like to call for an opinion on whether we should sign, and we'll go by the definition on the meeting here. Amendment 1, termination to contract 1 for environmental partners, which shuts down the original contract. Those in favor?
Aye.
No one's opposed. Any discussion?
None.
Then it passes unanimously. Amendment number 1, which includes contract 2 and 3 for Environmental Partners Group. This defines the actions. Any questions?
None.
Anyone give me a motion to
So
approve?
moved.
Unanimous.
Yes.
Then we have now Amendment 5. This is changing some of the rules of GHD. Do we have any questions?
I do. I tried to go back to day one, since I wasn't here at the beginning, and went through all of the amendments. And when I went through them, I have 2 Amendment 4s. I have one very small Amendment 4, which was for $19,300. And I had another Amendment 4, which was for $6,300,000.
So the larger one was a draft, and it wasn't signed?
Oh, it wasn't signed. I was going to say, I
Correct.
thought
That's
we had
correct.
to terminate that one to do the other.
No, so the Amendment 4 that's 19,000, that that was signed.
Yes.
And so that took the place of 4, it was the next one. So
Okay,
this, so
so-
5, and 5 is the next
So
one.
5 is basically replacing this second amendment 4. The 6th, this one.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I just have one question also. Was there so much technology associated with the maintenance and the control of the systems? And technology over time either erodes or needs to be upgraded. Is there a plan in there for upgrading or for updating the technology without, so it doesn't become obsolete? Absolutely.
So the controls, so as part of our contract, we're providing controls, that's what you're referring to. That's essentially like similar to personal computers like you might have at your house and related items. We have extended warranties that are provided with those computers. I believe they go out as far as they're 3 to 5 years. It does have to be replaced after that. This is not going to last for 20 years. So that is something that is going to have to be replaced on a 3 to 5 year basis, just because the computers just don't last that long.
Exactly. So there's a whole IT system that would be supporting it as needed.
It would be something that is going to come after construction that the town would have to.
Exactly. What I was going to say is it would either be an operational or a capital item, depending upon the cost and the scope.
It would be part of the future management of the operation. Not
Absolutely.
the construction, which we're dealing with
Yep.
today.
Correct. Yeah.
In other words, he's politely saying that's for me to worry about, not for him to worry about.
It's downstream.
Right, Mark?
That's right.
So any other questions on the Amendment 5 for GHD? Do I have a motion to approve?
So
Second?
Unanimous. Now, the last one, the Weston Sampson one, as I look at it, it looks like just a way the town is signing an agreement to agree with Weston Simpson. It doesn't say what we're agreeing about. It's all of the details of personnel and other issues that are standard boilerplate, which our legal department has approved. So I would like to ask for a recommendation for signature, that Rodney could proceed to hire Michael Scipiani.
Yes.
Is that
Scipione.
correct? Scipiani?
Scipione, I believe it is.
Scipione.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Meredith moved and Art confirmed. Those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. We've taken care of that. The next item on the agenda was a question about were all of the individual roads in town?
We are all set there.
And it has been reviewed and confirmed?
Yes, we wanted it on the agenda because we were under a tight timeline,
Yep.
and we just wanted to make sure it was filed. My understanding is we have copies of that, we verified that, and there are no issues there, and that is confirmed with legal, and I think you would concur.
I agree.
This isn't really a necessary comment, but is Catherine available? I mean, does she know each town, whether it's our road or a private road? Do we have a listing for
Yes,
that?
absolutely,
We do,
yes.
because at one time, we had a flooded road in my neighborhood, and I tried to get the town to fix it. Catherine was very polite. She says, "We don't own it. It's not ours. The state owns it." So I called the state, and the state said, "No, we don't own it. You own it." And I said, "Well, the town says we don't own it." Now, on the deeds, all right, it's within the town's perimeter, but the town refuses to say they own it. It's an ancient way, which one of the former selectmen told me, if it's an ancient way, it is the town's property. So that was one twist I didn't want to bring up yesterday, but ancient
more than happy
ways
to
may in
check
fact
into
be a
that.
town road.
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to check into it, but I
No.
can tell you,
it would be in our favor, so we wouldn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, but I can definitely tell you we have a list, and we know what's private and what's public.
Very good, so that question's settled. Future meetings and dates, we're in the,
I do have one item to just take care of with you folks. Don't need any action particularly today since it's not on the agenda, but I want to distribute to you the names of folks who have come in for the Sewer Commission. I would respectfully request that you review them and that you set up a future date and a future time to have these folks come in.
Thank you.
At a time that's convenient for you and for them. The Select Board has requested that you speak to them before their names are formally introduced to the board. In case you were looking at the Select Board meeting Monday night, I did bring the names of the individuals that I had at that particular time to the board, and the decision was to have them reviewed or vetted by you folks first. At this particular time, you have 4 people who are interested, and ironically, you have 4 vacancies. You have 1 for Precinct 2, 1 for Precinct 4, and 2 members at large. However, under Article 7, 3-25, it specifically states, "The Board of Sewer Commissioners shall consist of 7 voters of the town appointed by the selectmen, 1 from each of the 5 precincts, and 2 appointed at large. Should no suitable candidate apply for any vacant position intended to represent a precinct after 30 days of advertisement of the vacancy by the selectmen, the Board of Selectmen may re-advertise the vacancy and appoint any qualified applicant who is a voter of the town." So therefore, the precincts are not necessarily applicable because we've met that burden.
okay, I'd like to ask the board if we should plan on a meeting on Thursday, the 2nd, next Thursday, and try and recover our weekly meeting process that would at that time become more of an action team rather than the sewer commission, so that we could review things with the ongoing new technical representative for the town, Scipiani. So if next Thursday would be acceptable to Meredith and Alfred.
I was just looking, we had scheduled out for the year, basically every other Tuesday, and I just written them in. We're scheduled to have a meeting on the 2nd, excuse me, on the 23rd, but I certainly can be on the 16th, and I guess my question is for our planning, so that we can plan our schedules, do you have a preference of what Tuesday, Thursdays you want us to meet on?
The only thing that I would point out to the commission is the Select Board meets on June 27th, I believe it is.
Yes.
June 27th. So I'd like you to review these candidates prior to June 27th so I can have their names before the Select Board on June 27th, if that doesn't inconvenience you.
Fine with me.
So Alfred, do you have any reservation about meeting the coming Thursday?
No. But I
2
assume-
p.m.?
Okay.
So
I need that. I'm
Meredith
fine.
neither,
Yeah.
so we're all set on that.
What's that date, please?
16.
Thank you.
Won't we need to schedule interviews for the candidates?
Yes, we need to schedule the interview, and I
Interview at
think
that time? Is
one
that-
of them's here today. We could ask him if he would be available on Thursday at 2 PM.
There's two candidates here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Phyllis? Okay.
I didn't see
2
it.
PM on Thursday? We're on our way. 2 candidates. Would you please come up with a little quick summary of either your history of contributions to the town, which I know you both have, and just a paragraph in reference to your qualifications to look out for the town.
So
Yes,
may-
Jack?
May I speak to the board, or would you like me to wait later?
What, in reference to what?
The
Today's
schedule of
meeting,
the
or-
interviews.
Huh?
Sir Chad Smith, 75 Quiniquisette. With your permission, I'd like to ask you a couple questions about the scheduling.
Be my guest.
Sir, I do believe I will be away on Thursday. I'm happy to come at any convenience to talk to you from now till another time that you specify, but I do know Thursday I'm previously engaged.
All right, will this be a problem on any Thursday?
No, sir, it will not.
Just this coming Thursday?
Yes, sir, I have attempted to.
Please don't call me sir, my dad's long gone.
I have an uncle who's advanced in years who I've been trying to get to Bike Week for a number of years, and I don't know how many he has left.
I wouldn't want you to miss Bike Week.
If you have questions for me, I'm happy to answer. Otherwise, I'm happy to wait until you specify
Why
a
don't we
time for
just
me to
leave
come
it at
back.
that? And Alfred and Meredith and I will discuss it and then get back to you, but
Thank you so much.
understood, yeah.
He's going up to
Anybody-
Bike Week, and I'm glad I
anybody
don't
have
have to work
anything
them
else?
anymore.
Wayne, have we missed anything?
I don't think so. I think we're right on target.
All right.
Joe, thank you.
Phyllis, did you have any questions while you were here? Okay. Do I have a motion?
Oh, can I,
Yes.
sorry. Can we approve and discuss the minutes from the last meeting? It's on the agenda.
Yes, do we have copies of it? I haven't seen them.
Yes, we do.
It was in the packet that they gave us.
I have copies. I sent them to you guys. You didn't get them?
Yeah, electronically.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I have read the minutes, and I will vote that we approve them as published.
We have a second on that? Those in favor, aye. You got your approval. Okay.
Nope. Thank you.
Okay. So we have a motion to end.
Move, we adjourn?
Second.
Those in favor, aye.
Thank you again.